singing cats and dogs out here, man.
Cats and you know any musical numbers from the music Cats? Do you know
Yes,
any?
I do. It goes like this.
Anyways, chat.
Anyways, what it do, you?
What is happening, you?
You fam, man.
Chris,
It's
you?
so good to be here. If you don't know who I am, my name is Grayson.
My name is Lauren.
Right, and we're so excited to be bringing you guys this small group video for today. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we're diving into Hebrews chapter Dos. Let's dive right into it. So, Lauren,
Yes.
we dive into this chapter and
speed
we
up.
understand that there's kind of like a warning off the rip.
Yes, like the first couple verses are a warning.
100%. So have you ever been like, I don't know about you,
Uh-huh.
but whenever I'm about to go watch a movie
And
or
you're a
something
big
like that,
movie connoisseur.
I'm a big movie guy. There's something that happens at the beginning of every single movie,
Yes.
and it tells you what the rating is.
That's true.
Yeah, and so
It's a warning.
exactly. And so actually yesterday I was watching a movie, and you know
Okay.
what it says at the very beginning? It says
Yeah.
PG-13.
A PG-13 movie?
PG-13 movie.
Wow.
Which
Bold.
means it's warning you, like, hey, they're not-
Somebody's gonna hold hands.
somebody's gonna hold hands. They might kiss. I don't know. Well, besides all that, the important thing is that this starts off with a warning.
Yeah.
And so it's important for us to listen to warnings because
Right.
I don't know if a teacher's ever warned you before if you have a test the next day.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's a warning to be like, hey, I need to go study
Hey,
tonight.
by the way, I better do something about this. Like,
100%.
you know, it's due.
Yeah, and the same thing is true with Hebrews chapter 2,
Mm-hmm.
verse 1 through 4. So it says, we must pay the most careful
Ooh.
attention. Not just a little bit.
Most careful. 2 important things letting us know that this is important
This
chapter.
is important. Therefore, to what we have heard, so
Mm.
that we do not drift away.
Ooh.
Come on.
Drift.
Should we drift right now?
Oh, sorry, Chad. sorry. I don't think they're talking about Tokyo Drift. What are they talking about, Grayson?
They're talking about focusing on something else that's not your main target. So I don't know about
Ooh.
you, but if I've ever been driving down on I-45 South,
Yeah, going to Galveston.
you're going to Galveston, you're
Going
going
to
towards
Galveston.
Galveston,
Yeah.
and on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
you see like this sign that says Texas Roadhouse.
Ooh.
I'm sure you've all been in that position
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And what happens is you take your eyes off the road where you're supposed to be going.
Right.
And your focus shifts towards that Texas Roadhouse.
Ooh.
What's going to end up happening? You're going to end up in the El Dorado exit. And then you're going to end
And
up
then
in
what's
the
gonna happen?
And then you're going to end up in the Texas Roadhouse parking lot.
Right, because that's where you were focused.
And then you're going to end up in a Texas Roadhouse booth. And then next thing you know, you're 15 baskets deep of those Texas Roadhouse rolls. And then the next thing you know, you're on the toilet and it's not a good time.
It's not, and those are things that happen when we drift.
Exactly right. So you need to make sure that whenever we're focusing on something that's ahead of us,
Yeah.
we can't let ourselves shift
Our
and
focus.
focus on something else.
And that was something, it reminds me, Pastor Dan, phenomenal speaker, brought up a great point a couple of weeks ago about how our windshield on a car is a lot bigger than our side view mirrors
Wow.
and our rear view mirrors,
Yeah.
excuse me, because we have to keep our focus forward. Like even while I'm driving right now, I know you're talking to me and I'm trying to engage, but I gotta keep my focus forward
It's true.
so that we don't die in this rain.
And
it's
yeah,
important.
it's raining.
It's pouring.
We're drifting all over the place.
Yeah. Well, no, we're not. No, we're not. I'm a good driver.
Yeah, we've been water moving.
We're
what's that word?
hydroplaning.
We've been hydroplaning.
We're not hydroplaning. Anyways, back
well,
to the point.
It's important that we keep
Yeah.
our eyes focused on what's ahead of us.
Right.
And so that's what this verse is telling us about. Is we have to pay
Yeah.
the most careful
The
attention.
most. Yeah.
And we have to focus ourselves. We have to focus our eyes on Jesus because
Right.
the moment we start looking towards the things of this world and the thing that we desire,
Ooh,
we're
reach
gonna-
on it.
Yeah, we're going to end up at a party or we're going to end
Right.
up in a situation
Yeah.
where we
And
know we've messed up.
Here's the thing. I was just looking.
Yo.
There's something to be said
Uh-oh.
about that.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't there. I'm not at Texas Roadhouse right now. I was just looking at Texas Roadhouse, and somehow I ended up here.
Right.
Because my focus
What's
is
going to
there.
happen is the more that you start to drift,
Yeah.
you don't start. It might be slow movements.
Right.
But what's going to happen is you're going to end up in a situation where you know you're going to make a mistake, or you're going to lead
Ooh.
yourself into a spot where bad things might happen.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we fix our eyes upon Jesus. We fix
Right.
our eyes upon the good news,
Yeah.
so we can understand that our focus needs to be forward. So let's move on to the next part of this verse. And so we look at verse 5,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it says this: "But we do see Jesus, who was made lower than the angels for a little while."
Yeah.
And pretty much, in other words, He was fully human. He came
Right.
down to earth. Imagine being like top dog. Top dog. You're like at the top of your game, and then suddenly you get kicked down to the bottom.
Ooh.
So imagine you're in 6th grade.
Yeah.
You were at the top in the kids
Right.
ministry, but now
Ooh.
hey, you're at the bottom. You're fresh meat.
At the junior high.
Awesome. So it will go on. It goes on to say that now crowned with glory and honor because he suffered death. So
Mm-hmm. Right.
it's telling us that Jesus was made fully human. So Jesus
Right.
became human for us,
Exactly.
stepping down from his place in heaven. And so that might make you ask this question. Why do you think it's so important for Jesus to experience
Ooh.
what we experience as humans?
I think it's all about relating. Like
Wow.
you think about the concept of if you and your friend go through a hard time together or experiencing something that they've been through, or let's say you move to a new city and someone had just moved to that city a year before you can relate to that person a
True.
lot better because they've been through what you've been through. And they can probably say things that other people can't
Yeah.
that will comfort you. They can say
100%.
things that other people can't that will relate to you, that will speak to you on a different level because they understand what it's like to go through the things that you've been through.
100%. It's like if you've ever been watching a show before and you
Yeah.
love the show and you've watched it all the way through, and then you're like trying to have a conversation with somebody
the worst.
who's never seen it, and you're like, hey, relate with me on this,
Yeah.
but they can't because they've never
Because
experienced
they've never
it.
experienced. And it's so frustrating.
100%. It's so frustrating. So
Yeah.
what I think is so special about Jesus coming down to earth is that he's able to experience all the things that we deal with as humans.
Right.
So like the things that
Yes.
you're struggling with, the things that you might be tempted with,
Right.
Jesus probably went through some of those same things too.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about because I think sometimes we do think about Jesus and we think about how he was, you know, he's in heaven and he's reigning over everything and he has all this power and all this glory. But while he was here on earth, he was just like us, just little peasants like us, like just little people like us.
Just
Little peasants. No, but he was literally just like
I want some more porridge. Yeah,
he
no,
was
dude.
literally
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like us,
Exactly
like
like
not
us.
any different than us. And he went through
100%.
similar things that we
Yeah.
went through. I mean, I think about the story of Lazarus. Like he went through grief.
Yeah.
Some people believe that Joseph, his father, died when Jesus was at an early age. So
Yeah.
going through that kind of grief, or having people betray you, Judas, like
100%.
all of those things, he's experienced them.
And then when Jesus is walking through the desert
Ooh.
and he's getting tempted by the devil,
Yeah.
he's getting tempted with some things with turning a stone into a piece of bread.
Right.
When you haven't had food in so long, it's been
Yeah.
so long where you haven't eaten,
Yeah.
and so he's hungry. I can't wait 4 hours without eating another
It's hard.
spicy McChicken sandwich from McDonald's. I can't wait any longer than that. And so Jesus had to wait that whole time. He's been dealing with the same stuff that
Right.
we deal with he's in a human body.
Yeah.
So he is experiencing pain. He's
Right.
experiencing hunger. He's experiencing thirst. And so it's crazy to see that he went through all the same things that we experience and yet still lived a perfect life.
And that's what makes him so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes him Jesus. That's what makes him the perfect sacrifice.
Exactly.
We talk about that sometimes. He's the perfect sacrifice because he was perfect regardless of the options to not be perfect.
100%. And that's what makes him reliable. We can
Yeah.
put our trust in him because he's
Right.
been in our shoes.
Yes,
He's
he
been in
has.
the same, I guess, sandals. Not maybe
Sandals.
maybe not
Jesus
Yeezys like some
sandals.
of you guys, but some sandals. In
Right.
there.
So we already talked about he became human. Jesus became human, and it helps us relate to him. But what's another reason it keeps going in that passage, and it talks about another reason that it's important that Jesus became human? Why don't you talk about that,
Yeah,
Grayson?
sure, exactly. So in verses 17 and 18, it says this: "For this reason, he had to be made like them." In other words, he had to be made human.
Yeah.
Fully human in every way.
Right.
In order that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in service to God, and that he
Wow.
might make atonement for the sins of the people.
Ooh.
What's that talking about?
That's a good one. Well, you know, it talks about in the Old Testament how because we did not have a relationship, God's people did not have a relationship with God outside of their relationship with the priest. So they had to go to a priest and tell the priest what they wanted to tell God.
Yeah.
They had to go to the priest and tell the priest what they sinned and all their sin and let the priest make a sacrifice to God. And that's how they were free from all of their sin. Well, in this case, Jesus rewrote that whole process because he came down, was perfect sacrifice, and so he became that sacrifice. So now we don't have to go give sacrifices. We don't have
Straight
to
up.
go to a priest and be like, I want to tell this to God, or I want to have God forgive me for my sins from this thing. We can just talk to Jesus about it, and he on our behalf goes to God and says, they're made righteous.
Yeah, exactly.
In
He's
my
the one who
in
makes
my
us
sacrifice.
clean.
Yes,
That's so
exactly.
amazing. That's awesome. So if you're ever wondering, hey, what was the purpose for Jesus?
Right.
You know, what's the reason? Why did that have to happen?
Yeah.
The reason why is because of Jesus,
Right.
because of that sacrifice, we now get to have a relationship
Right.
with Him, and that's what's so cool about this
Yeah.
this whole entire chapter.
Yeah.
Is it kind of
Eternally, though,
Exactly.
not just now,
100%.
forever and
Yeah.
ever. And that's why it's so important. That's why we talk about salvation and eternity, because it's about your forever and where you're going to spend your forever.
Exactly. That's what's so cool about this chapter. It's talking about eternity.
Yeah.
It's talking about the reason for Jesus
Yeah.
and the reason why Jesus had to live the life that He did
Right.
and died the way that He died. And so
Right.
now we can put our trust in Him and
Yeah.
we can have a relationship with God because of Jesus. Come on, somebody.
So good.
Come on.
So good.
Now,
I love
let's
it.
wrap it up here. All right, let's
it
wrap
up.
it up. Let's end this with a bang. The question we have for you guys, and so the thing that you guys need to be thinking about as you go throughout your next week is this right here. How can we help each other stay close to God
Ooh.
this week?
So
Lauren,
good.
what are some ways that we can help each other stay close to God?
So good. One of the things that I love about technology, technology has a lot of things that we can hate on it about.
Sure, AI's taking over, man.
Scary AI, everything. But one of the things I do love is there are people who've gone out there and made technology for the better and utilize technology. One thing I love to do is I go and look at the daily verse from YouVersion, and we'll send it to my friends if I think it's encouraging to them. Send them a text like, hey, saw this verse, just wanted to encourage you with a verse. And that's not only for you to get encouragement, but to share that encouragement
Straight
with
up.
other people.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
important. It's important. Technology has made it so easy to reach
Oh,
out to
true.
people and do life with each other.
Yes.
And help understand, like, hey, I might be walking through these things. Let's
Right.
talk about this. What are some things that we can do
Yeah.
to stay close to God to make sure that, hey, I don't have to do life alone.
Right, accountability.
I can exactly right, and
Yeah.
I can do it with the help of my friends.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting next to somebody right now.
Yeah.
You're sitting next to somebody, and they can help you out.
Yeah.
So, or your leader, or things like that.
Right.
So just make sure that you're taking advantage of those things because it's
Yeah.
important. We all can help each other stay close to God,
Yeah.
and that way we can live
Yeah.
holy lives.
Honestly, coming to Grace Youth on Wednesdays, it's another great way to stay close to God and invite your friends to get closer to God.
Exactly. If you don't have a person that you're close with that can help you stay close with God,
Yeah.
go find that person.
Yes.
One, they can help you, and then also you can help them.
Yes.
Youth fam, thank you guys so much for listening to us
Yes. Mm-hmm.
yap for a while. We appreciate you guys. We love you all.
Love
Youth fam,
you.
stay clean, stay litty, stay awesome. Y'all are the best. We love you.